on LabVantage CORTEX, our Agentic AI laboratory for intelligence. Our headline promise is simple. Your digital workforce is reporting for duty. That quote from our CEO, Mikael Hagström, captures it, what we're aiming to deliver today. A practical, safe way to put AI agents into your laboratory work systems, so scientists can spend more time doing science and less time doing clicks, searches, and manual coordination. I'm going to walk through how Cortex is, how it works, and then we'll do some real demonstrations, particularly on Lottie ice cream and Lottie stability creation scenarios. Let's start with the full agenda. What we'll cover today is first the laboratory challenge, the rise in demands on you and in the lab without additional resources. Obviously, we'll introduce LabVantage CORTEX, the agentic platform for laboratories, what it is and what it isn't, the 3 pillars strategy, what makes Cortex uniquely LabVantage, our SaaS, our semantic, and our Agentic AI, the architecture and orchestration, a light overview on how all of our agents work together, and briefly we'll touch on how we've built it and how you can use it, our laboratory application program, portal access, and our agent factory. You can build your own in minutes. Number 6 is going to be about the live use cases and how we've orchestrated via Lottie. Clearly we need some boundaries and rules and protocols. These are our standards. The model context protocol and the agent to agent protocol. This is where we're saying, talk to the agent, not to my data. And finally, we'll wrap up with benefits, return on investment, and how to get started. And I should introduce myself. My name is Stephen. I work for LabVantage in Australia and New Zealand as the sales manager. All right, let's start with the laboratory challenges. Resources are flat, demand is up. In a recent survey, we found 75% of labs plan to implement AI or machine learning within the next 24 months. That's not because AI is trendy. It's because of operational pressure. It's real. Higher demands on throughput, new modalities, tighter SLAs. At the same time, the experience and pool of scientists are reducing as they retire or change career. But their load is increasing and the regulatory role is stifling. And where the friction lives now is the scientists in LIMS and ELN actually spend 60 to 80% of their time outside of LIMS and not doing science. Think about the documents, the emails, dragging things across platforms rather than science, study setup, and worksheet creation are click heavy and error prone and slow. Onboarding of new analysts and scientists take time, months of time, because the knowledge is locked in SOPs and the senior personnel within the organisation who are too busy to stop to train. And obviously the compliance side of things. The requirements to demonstrate compliance have become quite burdensome, and they're often spread across disconnected systems. So the goal for AI isn't AI for AI's sake. It's to eliminate the hunt, reduce repetitive work, and make labs more scalable without compromising the governments or increasing the demand on your tired scientists. And that's exactly what Cortex is designed to address. So let's look at Cortex clearly. Cortex is an agentic AI platform built onto your LIMS and ELN. It's our next generation platform for analytics and automation, delivered in a cloud-native SaaS fabric, where autonomous agents orchestrate complex laboratory tasks end-to-end, such as sample management and stability studies. It's not a bolt-on, it's fully embedded in your LabVantage LIMS and ELN. And the elements are delivered through SaaS Fast Track. These innovations arrive constantly on a conveyor belt, not through multi-year upgrade cycles. And the core value lies in these 5 concepts. We want to let scientists focus on science. The agents should absorb the repetitive work and the data collection. Talk to my agent, not my data. Our agents talk to the data, and no one else is let in, so your IP is protected. It's a very low risk to adopt AI, agentic. You don't need to re-platform your LIMS or start again. And there's continuous innovation. The AI world isn't standing still. It's moving fast, and you need the opportunity to have agents coming in as new technologies advance. So let's look at our 3-pillar strategy. What makes Cortex unique? Cortex stands on 3 pillars that reinforce one another. Firstly, SaaS and the fast track delivery, single tenant, cloud native, allowing LabVantage to own the master data management, the validation, and the testing setup. And because it's SaaS, release cadence means that new agents are arriving all of the time for you to view and choose or refuse. The second is our semantic layer, where we've brought in lab domain vocabulary, your local terms. This means when using our retrieval augmented generation, the accuracy is high and hallucinations are very low. And you can talk in your natural lab language. And we also keep our customer IP out of public large language models and their training. Finally, our agentic AI, augmentive or autonomous. Lottie UX and our orchestrator and our specialized agents work in this platform. There is a spectrum of assistance. You can be just assistive, or you can be fully autonomous, but you can always have a human in the loop where it matters. And we're built on the emerging standards. We're open to this structure with our model context protocols and our agent to agents. So let's have a look at what Cortex brings to the lab. Without Cortex, scientists bounce between LIMS, ERP, Excel, email, QMS, workflows, and then back to LIMS, constantly switching. Within Cortex, with the LabVantage system, the scientist just opens LIMS, then asks its orchestrator, Lottie in this case, for what it needs. Fetch me this sample. What's this report say for this product? Has something been approved? Can I approve it? And the SOPs, just call them up when you have a doubt. And you never need to leave LIMS, and you never lose your train of thought. The bottom line is, scientists spend 60 to 80% of their time hunting for context and a LabVantage CORTEX eliminates that hunting. To understand how we satisfy that safely, we need to share some definitions of Agentic AI. A lot of people hear AI and think chatbot. LabVantage agents take action, and they do it safely. The traditional chatbot mainly answers questions, where agentic systems take actions in a governed way. Instead of a one-shot prompt response, agents run multi-step plans, use memory and tools inside a session. They access systems via mediated and controlled processes. The user experience also changes. The user doesn't have to do every step manually. It just states the goal, and the agent executes the process. It works out the resources that are required and just delivers the result you asked. In chatbots and traditional AI, knowledge is static. Close the screen, start again. In Agentic AI, multiple steps can be done using live data, and each step is remembered for the future. Importantly, the autonomy spectrum, assistive through to autonomous, you get to choose. There's no lockout here, but let me assure you, every step can have gates for confirmation, especially if it's a destructive step, such as delete this result, block this report. A human in the loop at all times when required. And every action by our agents is covered in our full audit trail inside of LIMS. And you might be thinking, how much power does an agent have to act? Well, it's confined to the power of the role that the user is logged in. Scientists can always override, and that's also key. Now let's look at some of the architecture. So at the top is our LabVantage LIMS, our ELN, our portal, and our portal is the way we communicate now. Chat, voice, type. And they then employ orchestration agents to work out the routing, maintain the memory, keep the gates open or closed, following policy, engaging the agents, and each agent has one job: sample management, stability management, finding molecules on public chemical databases, creating worksheets using ELN, filling reports, creating new reports, keeping the knowledge local and updating the database. The agents will use tools inside that at a different level to keep a gap between your data and the outside world. The semantic layer here keeps the language correct, and the A2A third-party frameworks keeps a boundary between the external world and your confidential, private, intellectual property. Now let's highlight some of the technical differences. LabVantage isn't a generic enterprise AI like Copilot or Gemini. I guess the correct word would be large language model. It's native inside of LIMS. LIMS works by tasks, so it's natural for us to map our agents to the way the labs work, task-driven. No one else does that. Importantly, as mentioned, we talk in the same language as the lab, and keeping this language local absolutely reduces chances of hallucination. Our agents are mediated and data bound. The context model, protocol in, and the agent-to-agent model out directs which tools are used for extracting information inside the system and for looking for information outside of the system. Talk to my agent, not to my data. This way you can get interoperability without the need for custom adapters. Obviously, we have our full spectrum of autonomy, from assistive to autonomous, with humans in control at every level. You get to choose. And finally, our models and the layers that we use are agnostic. You can swap in and out depending on your need, depending on the current technology, without needing to re-platform. So your business can keep pace with the changing large language models that are on. And let's just have a look at how that model of orchestration works in a conversation. The user asks for something. Lottie routes it, the orchestrator plans it, the agents execute it, and the tools retrieve it. Then it goes back up to compose and deliver. These sessions, the memory follows up with reference prior context. Confirmation gates are active, human in the loop if it's a destructive action. And every result is linked directly back to your LIMS. And we can daisy chain agents. So one agent can call another agent, which can call another agent, as it's working out how to do the request made right at the start. Let's turn our attention to the portal and user experience. This is a UX for the non-core users that often need to interact with the laboratory data. Requesters, stakeholders, collaborators, or your external laboratory customers. This is the Cortex-powered UX enhancements that makes the experience much more a self-service pleasure. Whether you're looking at recently completed projects, projects in progress, anything that may have been declined. And what's nice is this headline features. There's AI-generated chart gizmos, where a user can type in natural language prompts and the charts here will automatically refresh. The system also generates the logic behind the charts and the visualization. You can also see agents proposing completion of live data forms and giving suggestions when they might be incorrect. And with software validation, the Cortex experience might alert you to where data might have been entered incorrect. It doesn't block you from entering things incorrectly. It just tries to save you from making mistakes without disrupting your workflow. What I'd like to demonstrate next is the functionality within this workflow.
So let's go ahead and log into our application. This is the LabVantage client portal. You can see there it straight opens onto our dashboard. And the first thing I'm going to show you is the new chart gizmo. This gizmo can use our agents to generate charts on the fly. Not only can they generate charts, but they can also generate the actual logic behind those charts so the data is live. So these are not static charts, these are live with data. And you'll see as we use the application that chart will refresh accordingly. So let's have and explore what charts I created. I created a few request status by type. Let's go and see what's behind this chart. And then let's look at one of the others. And you can see they're all very basic prompts. You don't need to know nothing about the data model itself. It's just about the data that you can see on the screen. Let's modify this one to add another clause. What about if we're looking by both request type and class? Let's go and create a new chart. This one, I'm just going to be very overall, give it a really brief summary of just generate me a good visual diagram of the request data. And you can see there that it interprets all the data and comes back with a recommendation on the visualization that we should need.
And the thing about all of these tools is that you can build them behind. This slide is the operational engine behind the continuous improvement. On the left side is our LabVantage agent factory. You can see hazards, sample management, data entry, ELN worksheets, ELN reports, stability, execution, voice of the customer, and more. The key is the SaaS fast track cadence. Agents can move from version 1 to version 2 to version 4 and arrive at your laboratory without the need for an upgrade cycle. The innovation is continuous. You're on a SaaS platform. So when it's there, you can view it, choose it, refuse it, validate it, bin it. It's up to you. But the technology changes rapidly, and now you're in a powerful position to weigh up whether the next change adds value for you. And it doesn't stop there. Bring your own model. Our models are agnostic. So if you're experienced with some other models, some large language models, you can drop them in. You can do it by agent, and you can do it according to your data at different levels. But your boundary layer here keeps your IP safe at all times. And you can swap between models as the market evolves and keep pace with the market. So you're always one step ahead of any competition. Traditional agents are powerful, but they need tools. And our toolkit is compostable. Agents combine tools like scientists combine methods. What are our library toolkits? Capabilities that agents call. It's like a full bench of instruments. The agents compose tools dynamically to solve problems. So we have some built-in toolkits: Narvik, Norwich, database, SQL queries, report formatting, validation checks. Then there are external toolkits. Model content protocols bind these. Public libraries, customer ERPs, inventory, QMS, SOPs and documentation, live instrument data, SAP, management platforms, manufacturing platforms, and custom APIs. And more important, customers can build lab-specific workflows, bridge to legacy systems, proprietary calculations, or internal APIs. If it's MCP compliant, it becomes a plugin. Agents orchestrate toolkits to execute complex workflows, just like scientists orchestrate instruments. Now we'll have a look at how these orchestrations take place with our first test case. This is an augmentation scenario using our ELP compound similarity. You're going to see this workflow go through where the ELN researcher asks to find a similar compound to my target weight range inside the ELN. The default agent receives the request. A chemistry-focused agent, known here as the Alani agent, interprets the similarities. The semantic agent resolves the laboratory vocabulary. The database agent retrieves matching compounds. And the reporting agent reports similarly formats. And links it all back, deeply and connected into the LIMS. The outcome is a real win for researchers who can stay in ELN while Cortex brings context rather than sending out the scientists to hunt across different tools and different environments. Let's have a look at the video.
While working in the LabVantage electronic laboratory notebook, a researcher uses LabVantage's inbuilt chatbot Lottie to perform actions. In this case, the action is to find compounds similar to a target compound with molecular weight in a defined range. This action initiates the orchestration of agents to produce a report with the matching compounds.
That was quite a fast video, but let me break it down. So what just happened? The user asked to find a similar compound with a molecular weight range. The Alani agent routed semantic and database and reporting, and then resolved similar, a structural fingerprint. And that was executed through our MCP protocol and published chemistry data. Then it filtered back the clarified semantic terminology, and the data went to our internal library, and then the report came back in a table embedded deep inside ELN. In the actual ice cream demo output, the report returned 47 similar compounds with an average similarity score of 85%, and showed the top matches such as D-glucose, D-fructose, and D-galactose, along with additional report sections like structural comparison and recommendation. The key takeaway was the request took a few seconds. The matching took only moments, and it reduced the amount of time a researcher might need by up to 90%. The multi-grade agent orchestration had 4 specialized agents working together automatically. And as you saw, the researcher never needed to leave the ELN. Let's try our next example with a LIMS stability study set up. Here the scenario is create a stability study for drug XYZ with the following defined conditions. A similar orchestration flow. The default agent interprets the goal. Then it reaches out to the stability agent, the sample management agent, the workflow agent, and in this case, the human review, and the scientist approves it live. So from hundreds of clicks to a sip of coffee, while the autonomy handles the work, keeping the human in the loop. Let's have a look.
While working in the LabVantage stability module, a stability analyst uses LabVantage's inbuilt chatbot Lottie to perform actions. In this case, a stability study is being requested for a drug with defined conditions. The result is the created stability study. Now, let's perform that action again, showing the agentic framework that is being used behind the scenes. This includes agents being orchestrated to service the request.
Okay, what did you think of that? I know I've done this, created these studies, and it's not as quick as what our Cortex can do. And again, seamless studies, and all of these environments and samples are created inside your LIMS without ever leaving the screen. So what was once a time-consuming, error-prone process has become simply a request. Let's break it down. Before LabCortex, a team typically created a study record, defined the parameters, set up custom parameters, defined conditions, defined time points, created samples per condition and time point, assigned test methods per pool, set up analyst assignments, configured notification windows, and then reviewed. It's time-consuming and error-prone. With Cortex, the user just asks something like, create a stability study for this drug, these conditions, 24 months. The quantified outcome on the slide is the story. The agent called in the stability agent to create the template. The sample management created the samples. The workflow agent assigned the tasks. The notification agent set the alarms. And the human review approved the end result before it went live. I should have mentioned, I guess, the time before, 2 hours, hundreds of clicks, high risk of error. The time after, 5 minutes, 1 click. The approval click, very low error risk. So the benefits, from clicks to coffee, I like that. A 90% reduction in ELN context hunting. Hundreds of clicks for a full stability setup down to 1. Days onboarding and training new analysts can be reduced to hours using the knowledge base agent. And BYO LLM, no vendor lock-in, no data leakage. The business benefits. Scientists' times are reallocated from clicks to science. Faster time to go live, Your SaaS delivery of agents and models is continuous without needing to do upgrades and expensive validation. Your customer IP is protected. Agents are bound. And everything is audited according to the requirements in the current laboratory processes. And then technical benefits. It's a very low risk of adoption. You're not changing your core system. You're not ripping it apart. It's cloud native, scalable, model agnostic, has standards and bases that maintain interoperability, and define memory sessions and model context across the models. If the benefits are the what, the next slide is the so what. What does your laboratory do with a digital workforce? Your digital workforce is reporting for duty. That was the quote I started with. But think about this. What if tomorrow in your lab, 100 PhDs, scientists, graduates, turned up ready to work for you, already trained in every SOP, every regulatory requirement, and the language of your laboratory and your business. And an important operational message is, before every release with our factory fast-tracked SaaS, your agent's coverage expands continuously. So right now we looked at sample management, stability, molecular libraries, ELN, data entry, but it doesn't stop. The combinations will keep growing. So how do you start pragmatically without boiling the ocean? That's the next slide. Getting started with LabVantage CORTEX, the implementation path. It doesn't take long. If you're in a SaaS environment now, the discovery is to map the workflows and identify one or two. Let's start with a small phase. Augmentative wins and an autonomous target. In week 1 and 2, activate LabVantage CORTEX. Enable your SaaS Lottie active LIMS in the portal. Week 3 to week 6, deploy out-of-the-box agents. Let's keep it simple to start with. Sample agents, stability agents, knowledge base. Build one custom agent via voice of the customer. Weeks 6 to 10, bring in GXP, validation packs, user training, set up your human-in-the-loop policies. And 5, go live. Scaled, Fast Track delivers new agents continuously. Expand your domain coverage. So where is your lab today on a scale of 1 to 10? Map workflows to tasks, not roles. Pick 2 augmentative and 1 autonomous task. Engage LabVantage via Fast Track. Now let's close with the next steps on how to continue the conversation. Talk to my agent, not my data. Your digital workforce is ready when you are. If you'd like to continue from here, there are 4 easy next steps on this slide. Discovery. Check out our website, labvantage.com.au, LabVantage CORTEX. Book a demo. Expand on those 2 demonstration slides we showed. Have a walkthrough, personalized for your business. Voice of the customer. We are listening. We can build agents tailored to your workflow. And connect. Once again, my name is Stephen. I'm the Australia-New Zealand LabVantage Sales Manager. And just while I'm at it, a couple of questions popped in. What data, this is probably the most important one, what data leaves our environment? It's a large language model after all. But the answer is none. No raw data. The semantic layer lives in your Cortex enclave. It's only the external model context protocol that calls to anything external and anything initiated by your agents on your behalf. The agent to agent exposes agent's capability and in what it can do, not where it looks. You choose the LLM and it keeps it in your own approved model list. And what about the cost? Cortex is part of the LabVantage SaaS subscription. Fast Track delivers your new agents without license churn. And bring your own model means you pay model costs on your own contract. You might think, can we build our own agents? And the answer is yes. That was the LabVantage application program. Purpose-built, low code. So I guess my closing line would be, your digital workforce is ready. Are you? Thank you very much.